We're answering probably the top 10 questions asked at interview according to ChatGPT, which realistically is what we're all going to be asked from next week probably. We now have biscuits. We also have an egg timer, which we largely ignore and is somewhat useless, but we're sticking with the theme.
Yeah,
so,
it's the ritual.
Egg timer spins, and question 6. What makes you the best fit for this position?
It's just, I feel the rage boiling. So I don't like this question because essentially the interview is there to determine whether you would be a good candidate or not.
Yes,
it's
job.
not there for me to come and sell myself because you're testing my skills, both professional and soft skills, which in my case are non-existent. But your interview process is to test those things, not for me to come and do the job for you.
Yeah, I agree. If anything, this is probably the easiest one to answer that we've had so far. So I suppose it depends on your style of interviewing, but the way I interview, this is just a trash question again.
Yeah,
it's like
it's coming back to what are your best your strengths.
But I think you're right with like exactly what you said. You hit the nail on the head with you don't know. So from a strictly literal point of view, I want to say I don't know because I don't really know what the job is. I haven't seen any of the other candidates. I don't know if you're hiring for one role or 10 roles, and I'm a vaguely good fit, and I'll do because then you don't have to interview any more people. You can just get on with your job. Or if actually I'm perfect for the role.
Yeah.
What makes me the best fit for this position because I'm me and because I'm desperate for a job and I need some money. That makes me the right fit.
Yeah, completely. And more often than not, the description in the job specs does not meet at all the reality of your job.
I think the problem is if you don't have an experience. Well, if you have an experienced interviewer, hopefully they won't ask you this sodding question in the first place.
Well, because if they ask it, they just experience in being a shit interviewer.
You find a lot of junior interviewers will just go through all the questions written down by rote and go, right, number 5, why this? Number 6, why that? Yeah. And not really consider or reflect on or think about. And
yeah, it's like, you know, when you call our customer support for tech support and they go through the entire list of things that you've already done script, 200 times. Yeah. It feels like a lot of interviews are run like that. So, I have my script I'm going to go through.
So I would say when I run technical interviews, I have a script of sorts, and I've built quite a lot of scripts, but not prescriptive. Ironically, they're prescriptive, but they're not. So it's more about like if I have someone for 90 minutes, or if someone else does, or anyone else who I work with is going to interview someone for 90 minutes. It's nice to know that all candidates will go through roughly the same process and be asked roughly the same sorts of things, because that helps to make sure we're being fair. We're not just saying, oh, Brian, you look like me. We grew up in about the same area. You like cars. I like cars. Let's talk about cars for 90 minutes. You get the job. Well done, Brian. Sandra, you don't get it because you don't. Or whatever. So it helps to remove some of that structural bias inside of the interview, which is good. But it can be problematic if you just go through bullet point by bullet point and don't actually respond to or think about or have a conversation.
So, yeah, it's not an exchange.
Yeah, so when I talk about maybe an interview...
That's what I meant when I said tech support.
I don't really, yeah, no, you're right. And I don't really have a script. I say it's a script. It's more of a kind of a set of points. So we want to do this thing for half an hour, then we want to talk about this for 20 minutes, and then we need to cover these topics. But it's more left to the interviewer to say, here are the kinds of things we want to cover, now you go through it.
Yeah, you're going to attach your questions based on what is being said.
The key for me is you've covered all the things you want to understand, can this person do the job regardless of any other trait? Can they actually do the job? Because that's what I care about if I'm working with someone. I don't care if they happen to like, I don't know, Vans, and I like Vans. I don't really care, as in shoes, not the motor vehicle.
I mean, some people do like vans
Obviously,
as well.
I love vans. There's a Bedford outside, but there's a transit down the road that just gets me excited. But it's like I don't really care about that kind of affinity. It's interesting, but even if you like the same things, it may not matter. So for me, it's like, can you do the job? And therefore, having some kind of structure means we can get through everything. But again, I think if you're doing that, you need to make it clear to people. Like if we push through this interview and you're answering something, and we move on, it's because we want to make sure you get to all the other things, not because we don't think what you're saying is important. Because you need to try and get through all these things. I think. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't remember. What was the question originally anyway?
Yeah, I've been trying
Why
to
do you want the
remember.
Why
What
do you
makes
think the
you?
best fit for this position? So obviously I'm not the best fit to answer the question of why am I the best fit to answer
Because I've
the
already
question.
forgotten the question.
Because I've already forgotten it.
I'm not the best fit either to answer it because I'm just like, you called me for the interview. You fucking decide.
You're swearing at them. The egg timer's run out. No one's had any biscuits, and we've all forgotten what the question is.
Yeah, I wanted to take one, but then I thought I'd just be really crunching into the
I think we
microphone.
could appeal to ASMR then.
Okay, I'm biscuiting.